It's midnight. I'm Anita Wu and you're watching Nightline. News making the headlines. Government bans Israeli-owned ships from docking in Malaysia. And possible disasters. NADMA orders state and district disaster management committees to be activated. Our headlining story. The government has decided to no longer allow ships with the Israeli flag to dock in the country with immediate effect. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the government has also imposed a ban on any ship en route to Israel from loading cargo at Malaysian ports. In a statement on Wednesday, Anwar said that these restrictions were a response to Israel's actions, which ignore basic humanitarian principles and violate international law through continuous massacre and atrocities against the Palestinians. He also stated that the government is confident that these decisions will not adversely affect Malaysian trade activities. In addition, Anwar, who is also finance minister, said the government has also decided to block and disallow the Israeli-based shipping company Zim from docking at any port in the country with immediate effect. For the record, the cabinet began permitting ships owned by this company to anchor in Malaysia in 2002. In 2005, the cabinet at the time granted permission for those ships to dock in Malaysia. However, the current government has decided to revoke all previous cabinet decisions on the matter. Previously, it was reported that shipping company Zim was scheduled to dock in Malaysia on December 26th. This has prompted calls by various groups for the government to take immediate action, with petitions made to ban Israeli-owned ships from docking in the country. Meanwhile, Fahmi Fazil said the docking ban on Israeli-owned ships has made it abundantly clear that Malaysia does not recognize Israel for its atrocities towards the Palestinians. The communications minister added that the ban aligns with the country's consistent and unwavering commitment to advocating for the welfare of the people of Gaza.
Kerajaan memberikan satu signal yang paling jelas bahawa kita tidak mengiktiraf negara Israel dan kita tidak akan bersekongkol dalam usaha termasuklah membantu dari segi ekonomi buat negara Israel.
Speaking to the media after attending the 2023 Malaysia Cinema Appreciation Ceremony in Putrajaya on Wednesday, he also said that the government will keep tabs on the matter from time to time. Commenting further on the ban, Fahmi said he was unsure about the number of Zim-owned vessels that docked in the country, but was certain it would not have any impact on the shipping and port industry. Now, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said that his ministry has instructed the Port Klang Authority to assist all parties affected by the docking ban on vessels owned by Israeli shipping companies. This involves logistics companies, importers, exporters and shipping companies in managing cargo in the country. In a statement on Wednesday, Loke also confirmed that a ship operated by Israeli shipping company Zim, scheduled to dock in Port Klang on Tuesday, has been prohibited from doing so. This follows Anwar's statement earlier on the decision by the government to impose an indefinite ban on vessels owned by Israeli shipping companies from docking at all ports in the country with immediate effect. Experts believe the move will have a big and continuous impact on Israel's economic chain, especially in its maritime economy and logistics services. Many quarters also lauded the decision as a bold and firm stance to put pressure on the Zionist regime to stop its humanitarian crimes against Palestinians. In the meantime, the Zionist regime's acts of cruelty continues as it ramped up its military offensive on Gaza, killing dozens of Palestinians and destroying homes and mosques. At least 10 people have been killed in an air attack that hit residential buildings near Kuwaiti Hospital in Rafah. The attack also hit a mosque and a United Nations-run shelter where thousands of people were crammed in. In eastern areas of the Khan Yunis city, 2 people have been killed and 10 others were wounded in a military bombardment. So far, at least 19,667 Palestinians have been killed in the attacks since the Zionist rampage. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has ordered that the state and district disaster management committees, namely JPBN and JPBD, be activated following the alert level continuous rain warning for several areas issued by the Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, on Tuesday night. In a disaster operations preparedness notice issued on Wednesday, NADMA also urged JPBN and JPBD to increase their level of readiness for possible disasters, especially in high-risk areas. NADMA, through the National Disaster Control Centre, NDCC, also assured that it will continue to monitor the situation and technical information parameters in collaboration with various technical agencies. It also said that JPBN and JPBD must ensure that each relief centre is equipped with proper facilities and that all control posts on scene, PKTK, have sufficient operational assets that are in good condition and ready for deployment. Earlier, Met Malaysia informed that an alert-level continuous rain is expected to occur in Rompin, Pahang and some areas in Johor, namely Kluang, Mersing, Kulai, Kota Tinggi and Johor Bahru until Thursday. Continuous rain has also been forecasted in Kelantan, Terengganu and several areas in Pahang, namely Jerantut, Kuantan and Pekan, until December 25th. Meanwhile, residents in Terengganu, especially those staying in coastal areas, have been warned to prepare for the possibility of a third wave of flooding between December 22nd and December 26th. State Secretary Datuk Seri Tengku Farouk Hussein Tengku Abdul Jalil said this followed Tropical Storm Jelawat in Philippines, which is expected to affect Terengganu as well. Tengku Farouk Hussein, who is also chairman of the State Disaster Management Committee Secretariat, said the Terengganu government was prepared for the possibility of another round of floods. The first wave of floods hit Terengganu from November 20th to December 1st, followed by a second wave from December 14th until December 19th, which saw the evacuation of almost 8,000 residents to flood relief centres in the districts of Kuala Terengganu, Kuala Nerus, Marang, Hulu Terengganu, Kemaman, Dungun, Setiu and Besut. The Plantation and Commodities Ministry is optimistic about increasing job opportunities in the commodities sector. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani, said this is because the role of his ministry is not only in the country's exports and contributing to the gross domestic product, GDP, but also providing job opportunities to Malaysians.
Dapat bekerja dalam sektor-sektor komoditi ini, dia hampir mencecah 1 juta peluang pekerjaan. So jadi it's quite important ministry, sangat penting. Jadi apa yang perlu kita buat ialah kita nak tengok bagaimana kita boleh enhance benda ini.
He said this when appearing as a guest in a live talk show program on TV1 on Wednesday night. During the interview, Johari also pointed out that the dynamics of the plantation and commodities sector rely heavily on the synergy between governmental bodies and industry stakeholders. He also stressed the necessity for robust and sustainable policies and aims to enhance competitiveness and sustainability by streamlining processes and encouraging innovation within the sector. In 2022 alone, the total exports in the country's plantation and commodities sector amounted to approximately 200 billion ringgit. The Shah Alam Magistrates Court on Wednesday dismissed a guilty plea by a part-time event management consultant who was charged with stalking a female photographer by repeatedly harassing her on social media last year and ordered the case to go to trial. Magistrate Sasha Diana Sabtu made the decision after allowing a preliminary objection by the prosecution against the guilty plea by 37-year-old Muhammad Safiq Rosli, which was conditional on December 15th. The magistrate fixed January 17th for a one-day trial where she will also deliver the sentencing. Deputy Public Prosecutor Zilfinaz Abbas told the court that 3 prosecution witnesses will be called to testify, including the victim, Akesha Mardiana Daud, via an online proceeding. Earlier, Zilfinaz told the court that the prosecution did not want Safiq's admission of guilt to be used as a means for the accused to escape imprisonment and fine by invoking the defence of insanity under Section 347 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Safiq is the first person to be charged under Section 507A of the Penal Code, a new provision which criminalises stalking or repeated harassment that was passed in Parliament and came into effect in May. It carries a maximum 3 years jail, a fine, or both if found guilty. 31-year-old Akasha's torment was revealed through an Instagram post when the victim shared her experience of being occasionally sexually harassed by the accused since 2016, including exposing the lewd messages that he had sent her. It was said that he began stalking the victim since 2017 and had followed her to a fast food restaurant, her house, and even to the United Kingdom at one point. A total of 31 police personnel, including officers from the Kuala Lumpur police contingent, were sacked for various offences from January to November this year. City Police Chief Dato' Alauddin Abdul Majid said the figure was a decrease compared to the same period last year, which saw 41 personnel dismissed from the service. Alauddin, however, expressed overall satisfaction with the performance of his officers and staff throughout the year, adding that these officers had successfully met the set key performance indicators, KPIs. He also said, as frontliners, police officers and members need to improve their discipline and perform their duties according to standard operating procedures. He also advised his officers and members to take on the responsibility wholeheartedly and to serve the people with professionalism and high integrity at all times. He also mentioned that 93 members were promoted from corporal to sergeant, while 34 members were promoted to sergeant major. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein has urged all police personnel to uphold the image of the Royal Malaysian Police PDRM, emphasising the importance of using their authority responsibly. He stressed that the PDRM will not hesitate to take action against any personnel, regardless of their rank, if they commit a criminal offence or are involved in misconduct or mismanagement.
Jangan berlindung di sebalik uniform ataupun di sebalik kuasa ataupun di balik kita punya badge yang kita ada. So, kita sepatutnya menjaga PDRM ini sebaiknya dan kita sepatutnya mendapat keyakinan, kepercayaan daripada rakyat untuk menentukan bahawa citra PDRM ini di tempat yang teratas.
Razaruddin said this to the media after attending the Negeri Sembilan Police Contingent's National Hero Service Medal PJPN Award ceremony in Seremban on Wednesday. He added that the police force will not compromise and will initiate investigation for disciplinary action against those involved in criminal offence or misconduct. Razaruddin also advised all personnel to maintain their careers well to ensure the welfare and harmony of their families. Earlier during the award ceremony, a total of 210 officers, retired police personnel and police pensioners next of kin were awarded the PJPN. Next on Nightline, Trump ineligible for presidency. News from the foreign front when we return. Stay tuned.
Jangan pandang ringan dan mudah. Anggap batuk awak ini serius. Woods ubat batuk dengan rasa pudina. Memberi sensasi kelegaan di kerongkong. Berkesan melegakan batuk. Woods ubat batuk yang saya percaya.
Nak naik pangkat, kena belajar bahasa Inggris dulu.
대학 안 나와도 엑세서도 할 수 있는 거야? 됐고, 3달 안에 토익 600을 어떻게 넘냐?
We can do it!
No.
Tapi macam ada rahsia yang tak kena je.
패널 콸콸콸 나왔는데.
Selamat datang ke Sam Jin Company English Class. Ahad ini 3 petang. Di Magnificent 8 TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Banyak lemak, pasti ramai yang berhadapan dengan masalah itu. Lemak berlebihan boleh menyebabkan pelbagai masalah kesihatan seperti obesiti dan penyakit jantung. Ada setengah orang yang mudah bakar lemak, ada juga yang sukar. Mengapa perkara ini berlaku? Apa pula perbezaan di antara lemak baik dan lemak jahat? Banyak lemak, perbincangannya dalam Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Astagfirullahalazim. Ni Ustaz tengok komen netizen ni dekat IG komen kawan saya ni, dia kata apa? Kawan saya ni baru lahirkan baby dia. Lepas tu tengok netizen dia cakap apa? Ni satu lagi ni melampau ni.
Tak boleh macam tu Beto. Sedang penonton, tulisan kita menggambarkan apa kata hati kita.
Jadilah kita generasi IT yang berhemah dan positif.
We're back with news on the foreign front. In India, at least 10 people were killed after intense rains hit Tamil Nadu on Wednesday, weeks after a cyclone triggered flooding in the same area. State Chief Secretary Shiv Das Meena said at least 12,600 people were forced to flee to safer areas, while hundreds of others remained stranded as water submerged roads, forcing the Air Force to drop 10 tons of emergency supplies. The high rainfall had also caused extensive damage to infrastructure. The heavy rains came just 2 weeks after at least 8 people were killed by Cyclone Michaung. In other news, Colorado's Supreme Court on Tuesday has ruled that Donald Trump cannot run for president next year in the state. The court ruled 4-3 that Trump was not an eligible candidate because he had engaged in an insurrection over the U.S. Capitol riot nearly 3 years ago. Trump's camp had said that it will appeal the ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling only mentions the state's primary election on March 5th, but it could affect the general election in Colorado next November. It is the first ever use of Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment to disqualify a presidential candidate. Braving sub-zero cold, rescuers on Wednesday pulled to safety victims of an earthquake that rocked a remote area in China's northwestern Gansu province. According to Chinese media, 78 people have been found alive in Gansu, where rescue operations ended on Tuesday afternoon as focus shifted to treating the wounded and resettling residents. However, it was not immediately clear whether the search in Qinghai had ended or not. In the meantime, the death toll from the quake rose to 131, with almost 1,000 others injured. Magnitude 6.2 earthquake jolted Jishishan County near the border straddling Gansu and Qinghai provinces a minute before midnight on Monday. Coming up after the break, City set up final clash with Fluminense. Sports right after this breather. Stay tuned.
Ni nampak macam sedap je. Nak ni lah.
Ini produk terbaru kami, Siu Supering Cheesy Corn. Nak cuba? Cheesy Corn ni ditabur dengan sebut supering yang menambahkan lagi rasa kejunya.
Wah, bolehlah. Bagi saya cuba satu. Gabungan supering ni memang
Cik belum bayar lagi ni.
Maaf. Terlupa pula.
Dapatkan di Siu sekarang.
Makanlah apa anda nak makan. Yang penting makan sebelum lapar, berhenti sebelum kenyang. Sentiasa sulam dengan air kosong, banyakkan sayur serta serat dan kurangkan lemak dan juga gula. Senang je kan nak amalkan. Yang penting anda enjoy makanan anda. Saksikan Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3.
Tutup tahun 2023 korang dengan 3 filem ni. Let's go guys!
Yes!
Kita bagi aksi yang memang gempak gila.
I'm the Green Hornet.
You are girl.
Just relax, breathe.
Macam layan semuanya di Magnificent 8 TV3 atau stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports news now. Football. Manchester City eased into the final after beating Japanese side Urawa Red Diamonds 3-0 in Jeddah on Tuesday.
Asian champions Urawa held firm until added time at the end of the first half, but the deadlock was finally broken when defender Marius Hoibraten steered a Matheus Nunes cross into his own goal. Mateo Kovacic doubled the lead 7 minutes into the second from Kyle Walker's measured through ball, and Bernardo Silva sealed the 3-0 win 7 minutes later after Urawa goalkeeper Shusaku Nishikawa could only parry a shot from Nunes. A new name will be etched onto the Club World Cup trophy at the end of Friday's final, as European champions Man City and Copa Libertadores holders Fluminense are both taking part in the tournament for the first time.
On to the German Bundesliga now. Borussia Dortmund's recent struggles continued on Tuesday with a 1-1 home draw against Mainz, which means Edin Terzic's side have won only one of their last 8 matches in the league.
Julian Brandt put Dortmund ahead in the 29th minute, scoring directly from a free kick. Mainz, however, levelled just before half-time when a Sepp van der Berg header from Philippe Moyne's inviting delivery was adjudged to have crossed the goal line. Dortmund remain 5th in the standings after the draw, but they are 12 points behind league leaders Bayer Leverkusen, who play their game in hand against Bochum on Wednesday. The point was enough to lift Mainz out of the relegation places, although they have only one win from their 16 games in the Bundesliga this season. In another match, RB Leipzig squandered a chance to move level on points with second-place Bayern Munich in the standings, surrendering the lead and drawing 1-1 with hosts Werder Bremen. Luis Openda put the visitors ahead in the second minute of the second half with his 11th league goal of the campaign, with Emil Forsberg setting up the chance in his final game for Leipzig before joining New York Red Bulls. Justin Jimba earned Werder a share of the points when his 75th minute curling strike beat Leipzig keeper Janis Blasby. Jimba's goal ended Leipzig's 4-game winning run in all competitions.
Coming up after this quick breather, mum and son killed in Mersing incident. Don't go away.
Mereka hanya ada 7 hari untuk menyempurnakannya.
Are you with me? Let's bring it in! Come on! Let's do it!
Mengubah mimpi menjadi realiti dalam satu misi membina semula rumah yang baru.
Beautiful village we're making.
Got the custom tile in, cabinets are going in right now. Love it! Looking good! Yep.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition setiap Sabtu 12.30 hari. Stream sekarang ditonton dan di TV3.
Mira nak kongsikan sedikit panduan keselamatan anak ketika di luar rumah. Pastikan keadaan sekeliling, pantau pergerakan anak dan jangan biarkan mereka berkeliaran jauh daripada anda. Elakkan pemakaian barang kemas yang berlebihan. Yang terakhir, boleh bawa whistle bersama. Jerit sekuat hati atau tiup whistle untuk menarik perhatian orang sekeliling sekiranya diganggu atau merasa terancam. Dapatkan pelbagai informasi bermanfaat bersama Nona setiap Ahad jam 2 petang di TV3.
Banyak lemak, pasti ramai yang berhadapan dengan masalah itu. Lemak berlebihan boleh menyebabkan pelbagai masalah kesihatan seperti obesiti dan penyakit jantung. Ada setengah orang yang mudah bakar lemak, ada juga yang sukar. Mengapa perkara ini berlaku? Apa pula perbezaan di antara lemak baik dan lemak jahat? Banyak lemak, perbincangannya dalam Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui tonton.
A Nightline. In Johor, a woman and her 4-year-old son were killed when the car they were travelling in skidded and spun before an oncoming lorry crashed into it at Jalan Nita, Mersing on Wednesday. Mersing Police Chief Superintendent Abdul Raza Abdullah Sani said the victims were identified as 32-year-old Zubaida Zakaria, who was at the wheel of the car, and Uwais Rayyan Muhammad. Both of them died at the scene due to severe head injuries. Authorities were informed about the crash involving the car and the lorry at about 8 a.m. Initial investigations found that the car was heading towards Bandar Mersing from the direction of Felda Nitar before it went out of control and was hit by the lorry. The lorry driver, identified as 40-year-old Muhammad Yazid Abidin, was reported to have sustained minor injuries in the crash. Both bodies have been taken to the Mersing Hospital for post-mortem. The cause of the accident is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. A man who was arrested after hacking his aunt with a machete in the Raja Uda area of Butterworth, Pulau Pinang on Tuesday was believed to have acted out of anger. Deputy Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Usof Jan Muhammad said the 29-year-old man currently receiving treatment at the Pulau Pinang Hospital has been remanded for 7 days to assist investigation into the case. Earlier, it was reported that the suspect, a factory operator, had tried to take his own life by leaping from the Pulau Pinang Bridge shortly after hacking the victim, a 42-year-old clothing merchant, but was rescued by fishermen and anglers and subsequently detained by police. The victim, however, died later while receiving treatment at the Seberang Jaya Hospital. It was learned that the suspect had acted that way as he was angry with his aunt, who allegedly interfered in his romantic relationship with her daughter. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. Over in Selangor, a fire broke out at Jalan Perusahaan 2 in the Batu Caves industrial area, affecting 3 factories on Wednesday. State Fire and Rescue Department's Operations Centre said that an emergency call was received at 11:49 a.m. regarding the blaze that originated in a paint factory and subsequently spread to 2 other nearby factories. A total of 13 fire engines from 8 fire and rescue stations were immediately dispatched to the scene, along with more than 30 firemen. It was found that 90% of the paint factory was already engulfed in flames, while a spare parts factory and a packaging factory were each 20% burnt. A man in his 50s, who was a worker at the paint factory, suffered burns to his hands in the incident, and the victim was provided initial treatment by a medical team at the scene. The blaze also caused a massive plume of smoke which could be seen from far away. The fire was finally brought under control by 1:07 p.m. Investigations are currently ongoing to determine the cause of the fire, as well as the amount of damages incurred. Meanwhile, in Selangor, police foiled an attempt to smuggle ganja in an express bus on Monday, following the arrest of 4 local men, including a bus driver aged between 32 and 54, on the side of the Plus Highway near a petrol station in the Kuala Lumpur area on Monday. Checks on their car revealed a box containing 10 slabs of ganja, which led authorities to a parked express bus nearby, where 20 more slabs of ganja were found in the vehicle's storage compartment. The seized drugs, weighing 115.7 kilograms, were valued at nearly 359,000 ringgit and were meant for distribution in the Klang Valley market. Elsewhere in Kedah, 2 men suspected of trafficking over 10 kilograms of ganja, worth 33,000 ringgit, were arrested by police in a raid at a car park lot near RTC Napoh in Kubang Pasu on Monday. It was believed that the suspects, including a Thai national in his 30s, intended to hand over the drugs to a specific syndicate, and the drug supply was brought into the country through the border via hidden routes. The other suspect, a 24-year-old local man from Gemas, Negeri Sembilan, was also found to have 6 prior criminal offences. All the suspects in both cases have been remanded for 7 days until December 25th to assist investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act.
Fail Mahkamah merungkai kes-kes tergempar Malaysia. Laporan, siasatan serta prosiding kes yang telah dibicara ke muka pengadilan. Rangkuman kes-kes berprofil tinggi yang telah dipaparkan dalam fail mahkamah sepanjang 2023.
As we wrap up Nightline this time around, we take a look as Bogota's Botanical Garden welcomes the holiday season with a night show that includes a tour of giant glowing figures depicting different animals made with LED lights. With that, I'm Nita Wu. Thank you for watching Nightline and be well, Malaysia.